I'm Bill Sefton. I'm the owner of the 69 Hemi Under Glass car. I've been very fortunate that the last 13 years that I've been dealing with Bob Riggle. I bought my first car from him in 2005. It was a 1968 car, and since then I've been the owner of all the Hurst Hemi Under Glass cars since that period of time. People might recognize this car, although the last time they would have seen it, it didn't look quite this good. This is the car that Bob managed to roll over with Jay Leno. So, that being said, why don't you tell them about it, Bob?
Basically, what happened is that Jay had been wanting to take a long ride. We ended up at Irwindale Raceway, but instead of running on the drag strip, we ran through the center of the oval track. And it was rough, very rough. And we had to tune the car up a little bit because it was brand new. And so we did. And then I went to the producer. I said, can we switch over to the drag strip rather than running here? And he said, well, we'd have to move everything, you know. He said, and if you can give it a shot, we will. So we did. And so we did an interview with Jay and I and talked about the car and different things. And then Jay said, can I take a ride? And I said, absolutely. So we got him in, strapped him in, and we made a couple little shots with it to warm the tires up. And then I backed up on the edge of the track at the other end, and I said to him, I said, I really don't like this, you know, because it's so rough. He said, well, what can go wrong? Well, 5 seconds later, he found out what could go wrong, you know. And we went down through there, we hit a bump. We started bouncing really hard because there's no springs under this, it's all tires, and you're like a basketball now. And it started to turn sideways into a wall. And I didn't want to hit the wall because I was afraid that might kill us both. So I tried to spin the car out, and when I did, the tire rolled under, the rim caught, and we rolled just like you've seen on a TV series. Fortunately enough, neither one of us got hurt. The car landed back on all four wheels, and we both got out of it really good, except for the car. It didn't get out that good. If a lot of you people have heard about the Hemi Under Glass, I have been traveling all over for 52 years driving the car. And basically we appeared in a lot of different shows and so forth throughout the country. And then I wanted to retire, and I did 05, I retired, and I retired in 07, and I retired in 09. But anyhow, in the result, I ended up retiring in 2017, March of 2017. But we still show the cars, just like at the event we have here and so forth, because people still express interest in it. And there's a lot of things they want to know about the car. How did I get started? You know, how long did we run, that type of thing. And I do some of the things with car clubs, you know, and that in schools, I've done those also. And so, but now we're kind of winding down. Bill Sefton here owns the car, and it's in the process of being sold and is going to a gentleman in Chicago, and Bill can tell you who that's going to be.
You know, as I said, I've been very fortunate. I've been kind of the keeper of this brand for the last 13 years. Been very blessed to have struck up a great friendship with Bob, and you know, over the years, every time I've said, you know, hey, can we take the car somewhere, Bob says absolutely, or he asks me if we can take the car somewhere. My answer is absolutely. But now that Bob's retired, he retired last year, I think it's time for somebody else to take up the torch. So I've now sold, this is my last Hemi Under Glass, and I've now sold it to an individual in Chicago who has a lot of Hurst cars. His name's Joe Spagnoli. Very good friend of mine, and somebody that I absolutely know will help preserve this brand for a long, long, long time.
Okay, in 1965, when we started to build this car, it was supposed to be an AFX car, which is a new generation of race cars that were coming out. Ray Brock and Mr. Hurst in 1964 were having dinner at Christmas time, and George said he'd like to have one of his own cars to race rather than giving cars away. So Ray Brock picks up a napkin and he writes on the back of it, he draws a Barracuda. He said, you put the engine in the back with a 4-speed AFX, he said, you'll beat everybody out of the gate and so forth. So that was what was done. We did that. The engine goes in from the back through the window, and then with a 4-speed transmission. Now it's an automatic because, number one, we broke so many parts in the rear end with a 4-speed. And so now it's an automatic, and we had, on the back of this, we had titanium pads. And that's what people used to see a lot of sparks from. But the problem is that a lot of racetracks started getting nervous that we were going to scar up their racetracks, which it never did, you know. So that's why you see wheels on it this time, you know, and rolling down the track rather than skid pads. But anyhow, it runs anywhere from low 10s to high 9s, 132, 133 miles an hour through a quarter mile. Yeah, and so the Hemi engine itself, it's a late model new Hemi. It's 468 cubic inches, supercharged on alcohol, puts out about 2,500 horse. And it, like I say, it's a performance car now. And the one thing, how did it get the name Hemi Under Glass, was George Hurst was standing back here when the car was being finished, and he goes, boy, that's going to look good with that Hemi under the glass. Hence the name Hurst Hemi Under Glass. That's how it started. So now I'll move around to the inside and show you basically, the controls inside of it, because you can't just drive down the track in the air and expect for it to stay in its lane. The handle you see right here in the middle, that's the steering brake right there. If the car starts going to the right, you push it like you're turning the steering wheel. You push it, that applies the brake to this side over here and brings the car over this direction. And vice versa, if it wants to go to the left, you pull it back and you'll go to the right. At the same time, between doing that, you slap the shifter twice. You're in first gear, you hit, now you're in second, and then you're in third. And by that time, you're probably, I would say, 200 or 300 feet down the track, just roaring as fast as you can go. But it's very safe. I have a window in the firewall there that I can look underneath the axle and see where I'm going, and that's how I'm able to steer it, And then when you go to come down, you let off the gas, and as it starts to drop, you get right back in the gas, and so it settles down real easy. It doesn't slam down. So, and that's the way you land it. Okay, a lot of people may wonder what's under this hood here, and there basically isn't anything but support and a window to look out of, and also the roll cage inside. So in order to see that, I'm going to open it up because it's an all steel front end, and you can see all the stock hood, stock tubs. There's the window I'm looking out of, and then this is all roll cage supporting the front end for when I'm landing. If you ever see another Hemi Under Glass running down the racetrack or whatever, that was me for 52 years.